Professor Janani. We'll begin our session in few minutes. Sahata ma'am, shall we start? Sahata ma'am.
I am pleased to welcome you all for the two-day international conference on the impact of COVID pandemic in the universal tertiary sector. The conference aims at providing a platform to deliberate on the impact of COVID-19 pandemic in the tertiary sector and to offer revival strategies to revamp such a dismal scenario. We are gratefully honored to have eminent professors from different parts of the globe and are happy to give them a red carpet welcome. Conferences of this nature provide us an opportunity to have you share your expertise, knowledge, and vast experience. We are eagerly waiting to hear from you, professors. The COVID 19 pandemic has affected the service sector to a greater extent and has an impact on the lifestyle of the people and the working environment. This conference focuses and discusses on the thrust areas of tertiary sector, which includes tourism, banking, education, transport and logistics, audiovisual, communications, retail estate, insurance, information technology, e-commerce, retail and environmental issues to provide a restoration plan, and the papers are originally submitted based on the same. We hope this two-day conference would help students expand their mental horizon and will have fruitful and rewarding exchanges. I wish you success in your endeavors. I look forward to learning about the outcome.
In every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. Now, let us bow our head in devotion as we commence the prayer service.
Lord, the light of your love is shining in the midst of the darkness shining. Jesus, light of the world, shine upon us. Set us free by the truth you now bring us. Shine on me. Shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine. Fill this land with the Father's glory.
Bible reading. Psalm 23 verses 1 to 6. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in the green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Word of the Lord, thanks be to God.
Loving Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour asking for your gracious presence and help as we are gathered together. We ardently seek your bountiful blessings and guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Only you truly know what we are setting out to accomplish. We have an idea, a vision, and a goal towards this conference. We have talents, abilities, and time to work. Your righteousness transcends all our efforts and understanding. Strengthen our confidence in you who have made us to be. Set us free from hardships in order to work together efficiently. Bless this conference, the speakers, and all those who are present in virtual mode. Father, keep us physically safe and be guiding light, for we all set out to accomplish and celebrate. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you for the beautiful prayer service. Sunshine is a welcoming thing that brings a lot of brightness. Charming words are welcoming thing that brings a lot of happiness. May I request Dr. A. Sahaita, Associate Professor and Staff Coordinator of the Department of Commerce, to accord the words of welcome to the gathering.
Good morning to one and all. On behalf of PG and Research Department of Commerce, I would like to extend to all a very warm welcome to this virtual international conference, especially to all the eminent persons from across the world to share their knowledge, thoughts, and their experiences. First and foremost, I would like to welcome our Secretary, Dr. Sister Niranjana Anthony Swami, our beloved and dynamic Principal, Dr. Sister Krishna Bridget, who were always with us in supporting, motivating, and encouraging all our activities. Now, I would like to introduce and welcome Chairperson of this inaugural section, Dr. Badruddin Muhammad, who is a professor in tourism planning and development at the School of Housing, Building and Planning, University, Sains, Malaysia. He is also the founder and head of the local knowledge research camp at the university. Now, he is an academic advisor for tourism program for many universities and as a visiting professor at Trichy University, Major University, and Management and Science University. His interested research area are tourism planning and development, urban tourism, sustainable tourism, tourism growth, trends, urban planning, and local wisdom. He is also an active researcher and consultant to many international, state, and federal projects. We welcome you, sir. Then I would like to welcome Deans of various programs, Vice Principals, IQAC Coordinator, Controller of Examination, and Heads of various departments of our college. We were very happy to organize this online international conference as it brings people together during this difficult time. The tertiary sector covers a wide range of activities from commerce to administration, transports, finance, business, personal services, education, health, social work, and non-market sectors. It creates huge area of employment even for uneducated and unskilled workers. Tertiary sector is growing rapidly because India's economy is growing fast. It accelerates the welfare of the people along with socio-economic development of a region and country. Finally, I would like to welcome heads, faculty members of our college, other colleges, research colleges, as well as our department faculty members and our dear students. Hope this will hope you all will be acquiring knowledge through this international conference. Once again, I welcome each and everyone to this virtual international conference. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. To be inspired. To be inspired is great, but to inspire is an honor. One such inspiring personality is our beloved principal, who has motivated us by being a living example, the teacher of human character, a seasoned scholar, and a navigator of this flagship of knowledge. May I request Reverend Dr. Sister Christina Bridget to address the gathering.
Dignitaries, dear staff, students, and participants from various places, good morning. Nowadays, webinar has become the new normal, and one such webinar we have today. I congratulate the Department of Commerce for having organized this international conference on the impact of COVID in the universal Tertiary sector, from hotels to travels, including the educational institution, has come to a standstill during this pandemic coronavirus effect. And the economy was dragged, which was outperforming the agriculture and industrial sector, was greatly hit. And we know around 122 million people has lost their job in last April, that is 2020. And also all of us know what was the state of the immigrants during this period of pandemic. Found it occupied the second place, whereas Maharashtra, Gujarat usually occupied the first place. So in order to know deep about it, they made a research, and it was found that there are 38,000 industries in Tamil Nadu when compared to 28,000 industries in Maharashtra. Then again they said it is because industries in Maharashtra are bigger than compared to Tamil Nadu. So again a research was made, and it was found out that 23 lakh workers are there in Tamil Nadu, whereas there is only 18 lakh workers are there in Maharashtra. But anyhow, we have occupied in GDP the second place. And when coming to the education level, they made a study on the GER, the gross enrollment ratio. This is not a person knows how to sign it. It's not only that is literacy. But the GER is the enrollment number in higher education after that 12th. The GER in Tamil Nadu is 49%, whereas in India it is only 29%. Even America has only 41%, which show that the education level in India, especially in Tamil Nadu, is more. Now concerning the health care, it was measured through the IMR report, that is the infant mortality rate, where a study was made among the 10,000 children born, how many of them die. In India, it is 34 children die among the 10,000 children, whereas in Tamil Nadu, it is only 17 children die among the 10,000 children. So this also gives a good report about the Tamil Nadu working of the government. And coming to the next one is the happiness index. Happiness index is how many people, what is the percentage of the people who are happy in India, and this is possible because more middle class people are there. And that is the one reason why America also is a richest country, is because they have 80% of the people who belonging to the middle class. They have a less amount of poor people and a lesser amount of very rich people. The same is the condition in Tamil Nadu, where we occupy 58% in that bell shape. Few are rich and few are poor, and most of them are middle class people. So this shows that there is more happiness, and the happiness index in Tamil Nadu also is good. So among these, 25 years of slot have been taken for every term to increase. Now this primary school, which was only 40, only 6,000 has increased to 22,000 in the first 25 years. And the higher education, which was just 40 institutes, have increased to 550 colleges, engineering colleges, and in which 37 of it occupies the first 100 position in India. And also this shows that this was the second thing which was done by the government. And the third one is the education given to even women. equal amount of education was given to women, which increased the social justice. And of course, the importance to English, of course, protecting Tamil has taken place here in our states. And in the last 20 years, there was not next move was not done in the last 20 years. And that must have been the entrepreneurship. Now, always there is the other side of the coin. And during this COVID, it is not only it has hit us, but also it has made many opportunity for us. So during this COVID season, we all knew that the government was not able to provide job for everybody. And so people started moving through startups and new innovation to become entrepreneurs. And this COVID has made it possible and paved a path for the educational institution to train the youngsters to become entrepreneurs. I hope these deliberations for 2 days will help our students to move from the comfort zone to the new normal and try to become good entrepreneurs in the future. Wish you all the best and God bless you.
Thank you, sister, for enlightening us with the words of wisdom. That was indeed motivating and extremely informative. Creativity is intelligence having fun. In just 5 words, Albert Einstein captured the essence of his intellectual philosophy and inspired others to embrace the creative process. May I request Dr. Badaruddin Muhammad to deliver the keynote address.
Hello everyone, just give me 1 second for me to get the
Yes, sir.
PowerPoint ready. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, sir.
Can I repeat? Can you see the PowerPoint of my presentation?
Yes, sir. I can see the PowerPoint.
Okay, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings from Malaysia. I'm speaking from, today I'm speaking from Kuala Lumpur. It is 12 in the afternoon in Kuala Lumpur. First of all, I would like to congratulate the School of Management Studies, PG and Research Department of Commerce, Holy Cross College for this conference, and I wish that the 2 days conference will be fruitful for everybody that attending this conference. My name is Bada. I'm from University of Science Malaysia, and I've been asked to share my thoughts on the impacts of COVID-19 on tourism and what the move or the way forward after this. Let me bring all of you to Thailand. This is Phi Phi Island, and before 2019, Phi Phi Island in Phuket was a very busy place. It was a wonderful setting, but Phi Phi Island was becoming too popular. And if you visited Thailand and Phuket before 2019 or by 2019, this is the kind of scene that you see. This is again Maya Bay. People crowded the beach, coming from over the world, especially from Russia, from China, and from Southeast Asia. You know also about Venice. They welcome about 1 to 2 million visitors a month. And then again by 2019, Venice was become too crowded, and a lot of residents in Venice was complaining that perhaps they should start de-promoting Venice, asking people to move or not to visit Venice because things will become too crowded. In Kyoto, Japan, similar situation happening. Higashiyama, one of the most beautiful area in Kyoto, were very crowded, then, and the local people of Kyoto were not very happy. The business people were very happy, but the local resident was not really happy because they have to fight for the public buses. They have to fight to find parking spaces, and the price of good and vegetables and food were increasing, and they start losing their privacy because of a lot of tourists walking around in front and behind their houses taking pictures. Similar situation when Angelina Jolie, presented this movie Tomb Raider on the Angkor Wat. You will see a lot of people stepping into Angkor Wat, and crowdedness happen, and this UNESCO World Heritage Site will damage because of, they are start receiving too many people to the places. People in India, I'm sure you remember about Diwali. Yeah, Diwali was one of the top movie enjoyed by people across the world. It presented wonderful scenes across the globe. And the problem with Diwali is that because of the strong interest for tourists to visit the places that the Bollywood movie presented, it's also created the same problem with the place. When it's become crowded, a lot of tourists visited this plane wreckage scene to take picture, just like Shah Rukh Khan did. What happens is that because of lack of management, people start growing garbage, and the owner of this land was not really happy, and they go crazy. So, ladies and gentlemen, by 2019, the talk of the world was about over tourism. We were complaining about garbage, pollution, crowdedness, and many more. By 2019, I think the whole world was focusing on international tourists, and we took for granted the domestic tourists. Very often, countries like Malaysia, we spend a lot of money focusing on attracting more and more tourists, regardless where they come from. We often put domestic tourism at the sideline. Well, today, from over tourism that is happening by 2019 or towards the end of 2019, then destination across the globe start experiencing the impact of COVID-19. You go to Venice today, I'm sure the local people are happy now because they start getting back their cities and streets. They don't have to, walk through the crowd of tourists. But I'm sure also the business people are not happy because of, there's a lack of tourists coming to places like Venice. Similarly, I think the dolphin, the fish, and all the animals of Maya Bay in Thailand, I think feel relief because today, due to COVID-19, you don't see many people in Maya Bay in Thailand. And, the whole thing is back to normal before it was become popular. A visit to Higashiyama in Kyoto, do you see basically no tourists? And I'm sure the local residents are happy because they are getting back their streets and houses. And similarly, the business, the tourism business especially, are feeling the hip. Ladies and gentlemen, students, tourism is about traveling to places. It's about movement. So once this movement is stopped, then the whole tourism ecosystem collapse. The year 2020 is, of course, a lot of people across the globe was looking forward for a lot of wonderful events. Dubai was waiting for the Expo Dubai, and we were supposed to celebrate the Tokyo Olympic by then. But now we remember 2020 as the year of the lockdown, the border closure, the movement controls, and lockdown. And international arrivals declined by 70 to 75%. You will see almost 1 billion less international tourists traveling across the globe, over 120 million jobs at risk. And industries like airlines, cruise, and the MICE industries were crippling. Well, this is the latest data from the World Tourism Organization. By October last year, we recorded a negative 72% of tourist arrival, and Asia Pacific, India, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and many more recorded negative 82% of the tourist arrival. And I think by December, the number would be around 85% negative. We learned that destinations that depend heavily on tourism would suffer the most. We know places like Bali, Macau, Maldives, the Bahamas would be the destination that had been relying so heavily on tourism, but when disasters like COVID-19 happen to these places, these are the places that would suffer the most because of their overdependence on tourism as industry. So when COVID-19 hit us, especially in February or March, there's a lot of cancellation of trips and also events, and there is a reduce of confidence for people to travel. People are scared to travel, and people start generalize about a place. I still remember that COVID-19 was reported to be started from Wuhan, China, and a lot of people across the globe was phobia about the Chinese tourists, about traveling to China, and so on. And all this lead to the abandonment of destination. People start stopping from traveling, and a lot of businesses came to halt. In Malaysia, by the end of 2020, we recorded 82.4% of tourist arrival, and the government of Malaysia was expecting to gain about 100 billion Malaysian ringgit, but we recorded negative 100 billion Malaysian ringgit instead. You see, across the globe, by March, April, and June last year, we got the news that shopping malls like Zara, H&M, and so on start closing their shop, and this have impacted a lot of lives because there are so many workers working in H&M, for example, Zara, and many others. Destination when they are not visited is also impacted the tourist-related traditional businesses. Small shops selling souvenirs, selling shirt and goodies for tourists are now struggling because they are, since there are no more tourists, visiting those places. We receive news that, for example, in Thailand, the tuk-tuk drivers, which depending so much on tourists in Bangkok, in Phuket, and in other places, were struggling badly. And in Malaysia alone, we have so many hotels has been closed, and with this closure of hotels, again, the hotel employees facing cut off. I'm sure people in India know about Air Asia, a company originated in Malaysia, and we do also have Air Asia India and also Air Asia China and Japan. But airlines, when people stop traveling, we know that airline has been one of the worst hit sector, and this is the scenario or the scene or the phenomena when you visit the Malaysian International Airport. you will see a lot of aircraft lying down. Malaysia Airlines, Air Asia Airlines, and similar situation if you go to Singapore and also in Australia, where a lot of aircraft or airline businesses, they still need to pay for the parking space, they still need to pay or serve the loan to pay for these airlines. And with this shutdown and no fly curfew, a lot of business going down and have to close down. And in Malaysia, a lot of pilots has been not fired, but has been asked to do other jobs, and some has been working in tourist guide, some open a restaurant, and some even drive taxis, Grab, or even lorries. If you are a soccer of games, you know that if you watch English Premier League now, you will see that people are playing on empty stadiums, and I'm sure a similar situation also happening in India. This is in Seoul, Korea, where the organizer of this football team has put sex doll to replace the real spectators, and this actually was not really welcomed by the public, but they are just trying to cheer the players. Ladies and gentlemen, that some people say that COVID-19 is a God intervention, because we have damaged our environment, we have polluted our seas and river because of tourism. We have not, be respectful to the environment. So perhaps God introduced COVID-19 for us to take a break, for the environment to recover. And you can see a clear example in Kuala Lumpur and India also, even in United States. You will see that suddenly we have a clear sky. Suddenly we have a clear river. So this is perhaps God's way of telling us, like, please slow down, let's stop for a while, let's give the environment a breathing space for them to recover. But at the same time, where I talk about a lot of businesses were losing due to limited movement, you can see across the globe also there's a growth of new technology. Today I'm speaking using online, talking to you, and can be perhaps broadcasted across the globe on YouTube. And today also there is a growth of gig economy. People have to survive. People have to find something to feed their family, and people have to become very creative. People have to adopt very fast, and you see that small stores now are selling their services to the bigger market through online. We will see that a greater use of social media and new technology. This is time perhaps for us to visit the concept of carrying capacity of destinations. I show in my first 4 or 5 slides how people get crowded. We have forgotten about certain destination has their limitation. So this is the time perhaps, due to COVID-19, we respect the social distancing, and perhaps the same concept when we travel, we should also appreciate and observe that certain destination must have a certain number that the destination can carry. And I really hoped that this would create the movement of carrying capacity. I really hope that Venice will start putting a number of people that can enjoy the city. Places like Maya Bay in Thailand will start having a number of how many people can enjoy the beach and the sea at one time, rather than open the whole destination or site for everyone. I mentioned about due to COVID-19, we become very innovative across the globe. a lot of technology, a lot of applications, a lot of new product has been introduced into the market. Yeah? For example, in Lithuania, they turned the airport into a drive-through, a drive-in theater. And you can see that airlines introduce what they call air curtain to protect their passengers and so on. And these innovations would continue and hopefully would continue from now on. One thing for sure, when we talk about hospitality, when we talk about tourism and travel, I can foresee that in the near future, we will expect groups getting smaller and smaller. You know, I think people will travel one or two or going solo again because of this, control in terms of what they call crowd control and so on. We will see there is a fear of flying. It will take for a while for people across the globe to start enjoying and fly again unless necessary, because of due to strict standard operating procedure at the airports. The screening security is very high. And I think in India, also in China, also in Malaysia, also a lot of people would opt for driving rather than flying. I do the same, from my hometown, Penang, to Kuala Lumpur. Yesterday, I drove about 4 hours. Normally, I fly for about 45 minutes. But now, a lot of people would tend to drive to avoid all these unnecessary procedures at the airport, and also fear of meeting passengers with COVID-19 at the airport and also in the aeroplane. I think there is a fear of diseases will grow further, especially among the golden age tourists. So I would see that in the near future, there will be a younger generation that will travel more compared to the older generation, the golden age tourists, I call them, due to this challenge of diseases. So you expect that the golden age tourists, if before 2019, we expect them to grow. I think because of this pandemic, they would rather stay at home, and the young generation would tend to grow bigger and bigger. The advancement of webinar technology would give challenge to the MICE, the meeting, the incentive, the convention and exhibition industry. I think we are now getting comfortable with online teaching and learning, online conference and seminar. I think this technology save a lot of money and time and preparation. I'm sure we will grow further with all the platform that has been prepared, and that this would give a good or big challenge to the MICE industry of any countries in the world. How they survive when people start, pushing the technology to do their conferences, which is much better, and we are getting comfortable with that. Due to COVID-19 also, the way we enjoy tourism will be different. There will be less and less festival that require gathering of a lot of people. There will be less and less interaction or engagement or physical touching of event and festival, or even games that used to attract people to travel to watch. Now I think games like this will be limited, will be controlled, at least for the next few years, until everything will be normal again. So ladies and gentlemen, what we have learned so far, we learned that tourism sector is very fragile. It was the first and the worst hit sector of the economy after the disaster like COVID-19 hit us. We also realized that under-tourism is far worse than over-tourism. We were complaining about over-tourism, but at the same time that we realized that under-tourism is perhaps worse than before. So, and we also realized that for us to travel again, it requires coordination between countries, between states, and also between departments. I realized that Malaysia, for example, we want to travel within the green zone, we call the green bubble, Malaysia and Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand. But then you require a lot of coordination, policy, and you know, you have to really wait until everything will be okay on both sides for people to travel. And similarly, I'm sure in India also you talk about allowing residents from different states to move as long as they are green. We are trying to do that in Malaysia, but it's not very easy because you know, if you once you open up between the two states, you know, other state will still will want the same allowance for them to travel, and that create a lot of problem again. We also learned that destination must diversify its economy. I mentioned about places like Bali in Indonesia. I mentioned about Maldives, Bahamas, Phuket in Thailand, who even Venice, which were depending so much on economy, on tourism as the base economy. But then when disaster hit, they suffer. So I think this destination should learn that it's about time for them to diversify the economy into agriculture, perhaps, into production, perhaps, into manufacture, perhaps, or into other businesses, so that, you know, it's more balanced and it's more vibrant. And we also learned that resiliency and survival rates of tourism-related industry has been very low. Hotel quickly closed down. Cruise ship has been docked and cannot move. Airlines industry, you know, cannot fly. Grab and also Uber has been stalled. So, you know, all these things show that tourism-related industry, in terms of their survival rate, has been very, very low. And we also learned that we need to appreciate domestic tourism. Today, everybody talk about domestic tourists, domestic tourism that can help. I think, ladies and gentlemen, here, you know, we are in March 2021, exactly 1 year before. 1 year before, after we experienced the first lockdown across the world. The situation is that whether for us to open or not to open our border, be it the state border or the international border. So this decision is very crucial. You know, if you talk to the tourism people, they keep saying, you know, let's have it, let's open it, let's allow people to travel. But in my country, in Malaysia, we have experienced about 4 or 5 months ago, when we start opening up our border, a few weeks or a month later, the COVID-19 number went up very, very high. So today, the dilemma is that whether it's about economic survival or public health. So this is the decision, a tough decision for any countries to make, whether, you know, you should allow economy to go down the drain and protect the public health, or allow the economy to grow but risking public health. As I mentioned, that today we talk about domestic travel. In Vietnam, for example, they start promoting Vietnamese people travel to Vietnam destination. In Taiwan, they start giving subsidies for group travel. And in Japan, they are focusing on the youth travel among the 20s and 30s for these people to revisit their country instead of traveling overseas. In my country, in my home state, Penang, also we are promoting not only domestic tourism, but we talk about local tourism, people who are staying in the state to visit our own destination. And the Penang state has been offering a lot of discounts, coupon tickets for our local people to enjoy the hotel, to eat at the hotel, and also to visit the attractions that we have. We also promote responsible tourism. asking people to observe all these requirements of wearing masks, social distancing, checking the temperature, and so on. So the word sustainable, responsible tourism has now become the norms for Malaysia in general, for the state of Penang in particular. I think, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to look at how we manage tourism, and it's time for us to correct the mistake that we have done in the past, in the pre-pandemic and pre-disasters, and perhaps to continue the right thing like we did during COVID-19. In Malaysia, for example, we used to eat buffet and we used to throw a lot of waste. We don't finish our food, especially during buffet. The COVID-19 has taught us to appreciate food, to not waste the food and so on. COVID-19 have taught us to be more hygiene, our public toilet, our restaurant and so on. COVID-19 also taught us in Malaysia to queue. We used not to queue whenever, we try to buy something and so on. Now COVID-19 have disciplined us to queue and so on. But ladies and gentlemen, saying all these things, when thing has settled down, the question is whether all these things will be last long, or are we going to go back to normal? Today, we talk about vaccine. I think in India also, in Malaysia also, the government has introduced or imported vaccine, and this vaccination have bring hope to tourism. And I'm sure we're going to have this vaccination certificate or passport for those who want to travel across the globe. I think this is coming soon. We will have a mark in our passport that we have been vaccinated. We talk about the travel bubbles between states and countries, and hopefully again that the new norms will continue. I will finish my presentation in about 5 minutes. I mentioned about the recovery in terms of confidence through safety and security, and also the COVID-19 vaccines have brought new good news to the destination across the globe. This is the latest, again, statistics that I gather from the World Tourism Organization. Across Asia Pacific, we only believe or expect that the travel industry will be recovered by next year, not this year, by 2020, and hopefully things will recover and rebound and revitalize. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are the challenges that we have? My first point is that can we be more responsible than before and respect the environment after we have learned from the COVID-19? Or are we going to go back to the business as usual after all the pandemic settled down? Are we going to expect or appreciate nature much more than before? Are we willing to pay premium prices for natural-based attractions so that people can conserve and protect them? Or are we going to sell nature or culture or at even cheaper places to entice greater consumption or mass travelers to compensate what we have lost in 2020? Are we going to stay and travel within our own country even after the borders are open? Or our government will start pushing back to the international tourism, forget about the domestic tourism altogether, like what we did before. So in my conclusion, as I mentioned, that the international travelers, especially in Southeast Asia, in Asia, are only expected to recover by 2022. And COVID-19 should have able to teach us how to survive the pandemic. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for us to reflect and to continue with the adaptation achieved during the 0 hour of the lockdown and so on, and perhaps to insert or to think about the future tourism plan and also in our new product. It's time for us to be more effective and efficient in our approach to tourism development. And finally, I think COVID-19 is a loud call for sustainable tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for the invitation. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Your thought provoking address has set a perfect platform for our speakers to deliver the presentation. Be kind, be thoughtful, be genuine, but most of all, be thankful. May I request Ms. M. Janani, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to propose the vote of thanks.
Gratitude opens the door to the power, wisdom, and creativity of the universe. I deem it great honor and privilege to propose vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. Let me first of all thank Almighty for showing His abundant blessing in this session. I would like to thank retired Professor Chimusa of University Kuala Lumpur for introducing our chief guest, Professor Badruddin Mohammed, School of Housing, Building and Planning, University Sains Malaysia, who spent his valuable time for gracing today's international conference and delivering the inaugural address during his busy schedule. Thank you so much, sir, for your very interesting and thought-provoking address. Thank you. I express my deep gratitude to our respected Secretary, Dr. Sister Niranjana Antonisamy, for supporting us in all our activities and ensuring that we always do right thing in the right way. I take this opportunity to express our sincere thanks to our beloved Principal, Reverend Dr. Sister Christina Bridget, for gracing this occasion. Her presence today in this function has immensely enhanced its importance. We are extremely grateful to you, Sister, for your insightful address. A special mention of thanks to our Venerable Dean, Dr. Ms. Janitra, for her invaluable guidance. I extend my deep sense of gratitude to Dr. Sahaita, Staff Coordinator, for her moral support and guidance. My heartfelt thanks to the heads of various departments and faculties of our college and from other colleges, as well as research scholars of various institutions, for taking active participation in this international conference. I'm happy to express my sincere gratitude to all our department staff members for their coordination and cooperation for organizing virtual international conference for 2 days. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let us begin the first session with a prayer. Blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding, for she is more profitable than silver and yields better than gold.
Small cheer and great welcome makes a merry feast. May I request Dr. Prabha, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to welcome the gathering.
Good morning. It is a great honor and pleasure for me to welcome on behalf of the PG and Research Department of Commerce, Holy Cross College, Trichy, for this virtual international conference on the impact of COVID pandemic in the universal tertiary sector. I'm privileged to welcome Dr. K. Suguna, Professor, Rishi, UBR PG College for Women, Tiruchirappalli, Hyderabad, Telangana. Dr. K. Suguna holds her master's degree and PhD in Management Studies. Professor has 21 years of experience in teaching and research, organized a national level conference on women entrepreneurship, emerging issues, challenges and strategies, and a scheme of social economic research sponsored by Indian Planning Commission, New Delhi. Also, she organized two-day international awareness camps under DST NIMAT project 2010 to 11 and 2017 to 18, sponsored by Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, Ahmedabad. She worked as a member, Board of Studies, JNT University, Anantapur for Business Administration course. Dr. K. Suguna organized a number of national level conference, fairs, and workshops. She chaired a number of sessions at conference and seminars. She is the adjudicator of MPhil and PhD dissertation of several universities. She has published 2 books and 25 papers in reputed international and national journals, and also presented more than 35 papers in both international and national conference organized by various universities and education institutions. Change, I welcome you, ma'am. Change is the nature of life, but challenge is the future of life. So challenge the changes is the mantra of our principal. I'm happy to extend a very hearty welcome to our beloved principal, Reverend Dr. Sister Krishna Bridget. I welcome you, dear sister. I also welcome vice principals, deans, head of various departments, teaching fraternity from our college and also from other colleges and all the participants of this conference. Once again, I take immense joy in welcoming all the eminent speakers and participants. I welcome you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Knowledge is power, power is wisdom, and wisdom is understanding. I invite Dr. K. Suguna, Principal and Professor, Rishi UBR PG College for Women, Hyderabad, Telangana, to commence the session.
Ma'am, kindly excuse ma'am. Ma'am, can you please unmute your mic?
Yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful introduction and welcome.
Thank you,
Before,
ma'am.
before starting, I request Mohammed sir, can you please stop the presenting so that I can share my presentation? I request the organizers, please look into it.
Yes, ma'am, we are doing, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is it okay now, ma'am?
Yeah, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think my PPT is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Distinguished Secretary, Dr. Niranjan Anthony Sami, Principal and Conference Chair, Dr. Christina Brigade, Convener and Organizing Secretary, Dr. Sahaita, Organizing Committee members, Conference Supporting Team, other invitees, participants, and my dear students of Holy Cross College, a very good morning. It is a great honor for me to deliver at this international conference, Impact of COVID pandemic in the universal tertiary sector. At the outset, I would like to thank the management, conference convener, and the team for giving me the wonderful opportunity to be part of this conference. I am about to deliver on the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on e-commerce, and myself, Dr. K. Suguna, representing Rishi UBR PG College for Women from Telangana. Before starting the session, I would like to start with a positive quote by Helen Keller. A bend in the road is not the end of the road unless you fail to make the turn. This quote aptly suits for the present situation. Needless to say, 2020 did not turn up as we all planned. COVID affected us on every level, but we quickly realized and started to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. So for every turn, it's not an end, there is still a journey to continue. So before going to the topic, so I would like to give a brief about the today's discussion. So introduction about the topic, about e-commerce and how this shift has taken place, sector's growth amid COVID-19 crisis, sector gaining from COVID-19, strategies of online retailers, and end the session with the conclusion. Is my presentation is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just want to check once. So let's start. Yeah. Yes, the impact of coronavirus. As news of COVID-19 spread, and as it was officially declared a pandemic by World Health Organization, countries introduced lockdown to stop the spread of virus. The impact of coronavirus pandemic has been largely disrupted in terms of economic activities, loss of human lives, devastating effect on the economy, factories grounded to halt, stock markets crashed, and banks counted on possible defaulters. But although all these sectors have been adversely affected, but with some notable exceptions where high growth was observed. One such sector is e-commerce, which experienced unprecedented demand and opportunities for growth during COVID pandemic, that is none other than e-commerce. And of course, it added so many segments to the e-commerce like on-demand delivery services, which is really related to the fresh produce like milk, bread, vegetables, all this. Online education, social engagement platforms, that is from gaming to OTT platforms, online collaborative tools, e-pharmacies, and online consultations. So this is the only one sector which has seen or experienced the growing demand. So why this growth has taken place? Why the people has shifted from brick and mortar to the online buying? So we all know that the COVID forced us to stick to the houses, and fear of spreading of virus made us to limited to the homes. And this because the standardized lockdown rules by the government forced us to go or shift towards the online buying. And of course, consumers also shifted from visiting the shops, supermarkets, and malls to online portals, and they started buying the products from necessities to the branded goods. According to the survey, that is IBEF.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Sorry for inconvenience, ma'am. Ma'am, we are not able to see the next slides, ma'am. Can you please change the slides?
I have changed, my dear.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
This one you have seen?
Ma'am, can you put it in the presentation mode, ma'am?
Yeah, presentation only I have given. Now when you asked.
In full screen, ma'am. In F5, ma'am.
Is it visible?
It's visible, ma'am. But can you put it as a slideshow, ma'am?
Yeah, I'm giving slideshow only, my dear.
Okay, ma'am.
Is it visible? See now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Now? Is it? Organizers, can you please tell me?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible, ma'am.
Screen visible?
Yes,
now?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yeah. So shift to online buying So one of the reason is the lockdown rules introduced by the government in March 2020, and it forced us to shift to online buying. And consumers also shifted from supermarkets, malls, and even shops to online portals and started buying the groceries and even from the basics to the branded goods. According to the Indian Brand Equity Foundation, that is IBF, the market opportunities for online commerce in India expected to touch $200 billion by 2026 when compared to $30 billion in 2017. It also stated that Indian e-commerce industry is expected to become second largest market in the world by 2034. So it clearly shows that there is a tremendous opportunities for the growth in online business. So why the shift, or what made us to make it convenient to buy online? The one factor which influenced is the growth of internet usage. When you look at into this picture, India with 687.6 million subscribers are internet users. So, and it is in the second place compared to China. The increased availability of bandwidth, cheap data plans, and increased awareness driven by the government programs played a major role in rapid growth of digital shoppers throughout the world. So it is evident that cheap data plans, growth of usage of internet, and the support and the initiatives by the government forced us or helped us in shifting from brick and mortar to the online shopping. And during the COVID-19 or during the lockdown time, there are few sectors which have seen a growth. Few are data storage services, cybersecurity, pharmaceuticals, food and beverages, digital gaming, online grocery, online food order, and online delivery platforms. Along with 10 emerging trends like telemedicine and virtual healthcare, on-demand healthcare, remote learnings, touchless format packing, enhanced usage of 5G connectivity, delivery through drones, rise of chatbot technology, virtual or cloud tourism, voice tech, and smart homes, worker robots. So these are the few sectors which has seen a tremendous growth, though the COVID affected us in very badly. So this is because of these sectors has seen a triple digits growth, and millions of subscribers or millions of customers are onboarded in these sectors. So I would like to throw light on the sectors which gained from COVID-19. I'm listing few of the sectors: healthcare, food and beverages, education, packing, tourism, media and entertainment, supply chain, and consumer electronics. We'll see one by one how these sectors have gained and added millions of customers through online or e-commerce. So first and foremost sector is the healthcare. Due to the fear of spread of COVID-19, we all stick to the homes, but still there are few diseases which need a continuous monitoring. That is, or we can call it as chronic diseases, diabetic and heart-related diseases need continuous monitoring. To meet these demands, or to meet these kind of health-related treatments, so One is telemedicine and virtual healthcare came into existence, or it has came into limelight. To facilitate access to the medical advice, the government of India come up with a new policies in March 2020 to use the telemedicine. And the apps also came up, are supported in this telemedicine, are Docs app, Practo, MFine have come up. And along with this, especially the non-emergency as well as the chronic medical conditions were treated with the telemedicine and virtual healthcare. Another are thus added to this are complemented, the telemedicine and virtual healthcare complemented the diagnostic services and e-pharmacies. On-demand healthcare. So on-demand healthcare is related to immediate treatment to the patients or illness or where the doctor's visit is important. So with a simple touch or simple few minutes of spending on the screen, using along with the help of internet, we can book the appointment with a doctor, or the doctor can personally visit and treat the patient. That is on-demand healthcare. The healthcare market, according to the IBF report, the healthcare market will increase to 8.6 trillion by 2022. So another important thing which gained momentum in India, especially in healthcare industry, is health insurance. The gross direct premium income underwritten by the health insurance grew to 17.16% year over year to 51,637.84 crores in the financial year 2020. It clearly evidences that healthcare sector has seen a growth during the pandemic time. So moving on to the next sector, that is food and beverages. The outbreak of COVID-19 had an impact on offline food stores, especially the restaurants and cafes. But the online food stores helped us in meeting those demands. If you look at into the few of statistics of a top food delivery channels, that is Zomato and Swiggy, these scenarios are shown since the lockdown. So when coming into the Zomato, 93 million orders delivered. 93 million orders delivered since lockdown. And that too in 120% order growth in cities. 25% rise in the spend on premium restaurants. Moving on to the Swiggy, they have delivered nearly 100 million orders and 200 cities at pre-COVID levels. 150% rise in the orders from Tier 1 and Tier 2. And in Swiggy, there are around 7,000 new restaurants onboarded in the place of 3,000, which is the picture of COVID before COVID. It clearly evidences that food and beverage industry has witnessed a growth during the pandemic. Another very important sector which is affected is the education sector. And of course, immediately it has come up with turnaround strategies. So yes, let's see the picture about the education. More than 1 billion children, especially in India, are at risk of falling behind due to the school closures with the fear of spread of COVID. To keep the world's children learning, countries have been introduced the remote learning. According to the survey of UNICEF, over 1.5 billion Indian schools have been closed. And this affected 286 million children, especially from the pre-primary and secondary school, with 49% of the girl children affected. So the state governments and the central government of India has come up with different strategies to provide remote learning to the children. On November 4th, 2020, India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati entered into an MOU with Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology to launch 51 direct-to-home education TV channels. With this, they started catering to the rural children also, the education and learning. In India, the online education market is forecast to reach 8.6 billion US dollars by 2026. So it clearly shows that the education sector is having a momentum of growth in near future, and especially for remote learning. So the conference which we are conducting through virtually, and the classes which we are handling is virtually. These all are because of pandemic, but of course, quickly we responded and quickly we learned and started turnaround strategies by providing remote learning and e-learning strategies. Another important sector which has witnessed the growth is touchless packing or contactless packing. So growing concerns of the customers, especially for the hygiene, cleanliness, and build the immunity, even the manufacturers of the food and even the malls have come up with the touchless or contactless delivery system. Another thing in this comes the beauty salons. So beauty salons, actually, they have seen a change in the growth, especially during the pandemic. That change is actually declined during the pandemic. So according to the statistics, the market for personal care and beauty products in India was aimed to grow at the rate of 16% during the 15 and 2020. But with outspread of virus, the graph has noticed a major change. But they have come up with a turnaround strategies. The brands can gain the consumer confidence by employing touchless formats, such as stick and spray setup, and even mentoring the clients with the tips and tricks of cleansing the cosmetic products. So they can come up with touchless or contactless packing system and gain the market. Another important sector which has seen the growth is cloud tourism or virtual tourism. The travel industry across several nations almost came to a halt amid COVID virus fears. In this context, virtual tourism or cloud tourism has become popular. With the help of broadcasting on the internet, people can witness live broadcasting. With a live broadcasting, people can visit the tourist attractions and can feel the natural sceneries without going out of the house. So this kind of art home or at-home tourism includes visits to the cities, museums, and art exhibitions. So virtual art museum tours are with a momentum of increase in the trend. So virtual tourism is playing a major role now, and they are capturing the market with a growth in this virtual tourism. Moving on to the next, that is media and entertainment. They faced significant disruptions with the lockdown, forcing all the forms of outdoor entertainment, particularly cinemas and events, to shut down and content supply chains to dry up. But there are few places or few sectors which has turned around. So digital and OTT videos increased consumption of OTT videos, and they even allocated their ad or advertisement investments from traditional to digital media. And the TV significant hike has seen in the viewership. Though there is a decline in the revenue in TV, but still they could gain through significant, they can increase it, they increased the viewership. Films and out of home, no theatrical distributions are there, but spurt in the direct to OTT release. And many of us know that how the Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hotstar, all these has gained the momentum. And because of the free time, work from home or study from home, all made us have a free time. So, and we started enjoying through this online OTTs. So yes, low budget movies, they have released through OTT platforms. And the free time forced us or made us to visit the gaming sites. Animation and VFX also has gained the momentum, but print media has shown a decline, and especially in the revenues from the advertisements. The revenues which they generally generate from the advertisement, they reduced in the print media. So media and entertainment also gained through COVID-19. That is digital platforms, OTT platforms, gamings, all these platforms gained momentum. Next comes the supply chain improvements. So as we all know that once the government of India introduced lockdown to stop the spread of COVID-19, the immediate shift to the home deliveries, especially the necessities or medicines. Yes, beyond so now the one more feather which is added in the supply chain momentum is using of drones. So beyond the visual line of sight operations, especially for where we are not able to reach due to a spread or red zones, so they use the drones. Alternative Global India, a consultancy firm, which started helping in this way, especially they have tied up with 25 companies to provide supply chain improvements through drones. And initiatives to enable the drone delivery for emergency goods. Emergency goods may be the vaccines, medicines. So they used this drone as one of the prominent channel for supply. And another important sector which has witnessed the growth is consumer electronics. We all know that we have shifted the work from office to work from home, and learning from schools and colleges to learn from home. And this has made us to use different computer hardwares, especially the personal computers, laptops, tabs, computer storage devices, peripheral equipment, servers, and the processors. The global, so according to the IBF, report, the global computer hardware market is expected to grow from $826.93 billion in 2020 to $944.09 billion in 2021. So it is clearly evident that consumer electronics has a clear growth. And of course, not only this, which I have mentioned 7 to 8 sectors, there are many more sectors which has come up with turnaround strategies and gained the momentum. So yes, toys, home appliances, and even the entertainment, all this has gained the momentum. So how this has happened, or what are the key players for the growth of e-commerce, especially in India, are Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, Zebang, Shopcluse, Snapdeal, Paytm Mall. These are the top 7 companies or websites in India who played a major role during the pandemic and after the lockdown. So if you look at into the share of various segments in the e-commerce, consumer electronics, apparels are in the top. Food and groceries, jewelry in the second place, and furniture and others followed. So it clearly shows that there is a improvement or growth in the e-commerce sector. So what strategies the companies followed, especially the online retailers followed to capture this momentum? They followed different strategies like expansions, mergers and acquisitions, ancillary services, assisted commerce, subscription for e-commerce, personalized experiences. Let's see what are all the mergers and acquisitions and expansions. So expansion, one of the example or a thing is in November 20, Amazon India announced collaboration with the Hindustan Petroleum Corporation of India, Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited. So this tie-up or this partnership with this, what they have done is customers will be able to book and pay for their LPG cylinders and get delivered at home. Mergers and acquisitions. In November 2020, Reliance Retail Ventures, a subsidiary of Reliance Industries, acquired a monetary stake of Urban Ladder Home Decor Solutions. So another sector which has seen the growth is the home decors. So yes, Reliance has captured that by mergers or acquisitions or tie-ups with the other country, like other company like Urban Ladder Home Decor Solutions. In November 20, Flipkart acquired Scapic, an augmented reality firm to give a better or boost user experiences. So expand these two strategies, that is expansion and mergers and acquisitions. They followed by the retailers, online retailers especially, to capture the momentum. Another strategy is ancillary services or supporting services. In October 2020, Walmart introduced training to support and grow micro businesses. So the most affected while due lockdown is the small businesses. And to give a positive or to support, Walmart introduced training to support this and grow the micro businesses, small and micro businesses. In November 2020, Amazon India has opened Made in India toy store with the government's Atmanirbhar Bharat vision. So under this, the stores will allow thousands of manufacturers and vendors to sell toys driven by the Indian culture, folk tales, and toys that promote creative thinking and are locally crafted and manufactured. So Amazon India helped in encouraging the micro and small business people. In October 2020, Amazon India collaborated with Indian Railways, Indian Railway Catering and Tourism Corporation to enable the users to book and reserve the tickets through Amazon. So these are few of the strategies followed. Another thing is assisted commerce. To expand the reach, brands tying up with the assisted e-commerce organizations which provide local merchants with a platform. So what they will do is they book the products or services online, but these are delivered to the local merchant or directly to the door of the customers. But here they have helped the local merchant in this. So they especially assisted the local merchants. So businesses of all sizes can use the e-shop box. That is one of the strategy which are followed by the e-retailers, which helps in streamlining the e-commerce operations. And they started using by the startups and even already existing branded companies. For example, Oziva, Meraki, some other startups, and Clarks, BlackBerry, Raymonds also used to give a virtual shopping experience. Subscription for e-commerce. So e-commerce companies are increasingly adopting to subscription models to provide extra benefits and tailored services to the customers to suit their needs. Amazon, which introduced Amazon Prime in 2016, but it has reached to 100 million subscribers by February 2020. Now that figure might have increased by this today. Swiggy, Zomato, and Myntra keep on offering benefits to their customers through their subscriptions and to attract the customers. And personalized experiences. Though people who visit the sites, they started demanding one-of-kind experience. To cater to these needs, many commerce sites provided personalized experiences. Personalized experiences like age, gender-related, location-related. So like this, they have provided and based on the interest of the customers. E-commerce companies have adopted voice search technology also. And one such site or one such e-commerce site which has adopted first is the Myntra. This helped. Even the chatbots also helped in providing the personalized experiences to the customers online. PhonePe is another one who has come up with to provide the holistic experiences to their customers. They have started or introduced the store tab on its app, on its application, so that it gives a separate merchant or experience to the online shoppers. So with this, I would like to conclude my session that though the coronavirus affected people and the corporates, but still they could cope up and they are dare enough to face and has taken it as in a positive way and applied different turnaround strategies, captured the market. So yes, there is a future for e-commerce and exciting future is there with a lot or new categories to add in this basket of e-commerce, making every product and service available. And this growth is added with the help of internet, increased bandwidth, and cheap data plans. With this note, I would like to conclude and thank the management for giving me this opportunity opportunity to deliver on this platform. And my special thanks to Dr. Matruvalli ma'am, who has in continuous communication with me from the beginning of the day. She started contacting me and updated all the updates about the conference. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. So,
Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening the growth of various sectors in e-commerce during the COVID-19 pandemic. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. I call upon Ms. Ishwari, Department of Commerce, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good morning, all. A grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. I consider it as a great privilege to propose the vote of thanks to all our dignitaries gathered here. I would like to thank our principal, Reverend Dr. Sister Christina Bridget. I wish to express my gratitude to our speaker of this session, Dr. K. Suguna, Principal and Professor of Rishi UBR College for Women, for her words on impact of COVID-19 on e-commerce. Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening our knowledge about various sectors in e-commerce. Thank you, ma'am,
thank
for
you.
explaining about the growth and impact on online education, online consultancy, changes in supply chain, and various other sectors. I also thank the faculty in charge and staff coordinator of this session. Once again, thank you all.
Thank you, Ishwari.
Thank you, ma'am.
We shall now break for a small tea break before we commence the second session for 15 minutes. Thank you, dear participants and faculty. We request you all to join back at 11:30. Thank you. The participants are requested to join back for the session 2. We kindly request you all to join back for the second session immediately. Thank you. Good morning, sir. Can we start the session, sir?
Yes.
A very good morning to one and all. We welcome you back to the second session of the International Conference on the Impact of COVID Pandemic in the Universal Tertiary Sector. On behalf of the PG and Research Department of Commerce, Holy Cross College, I heartily welcome Dr. Corey Allen Ross, Senior Professor, Yunsan University, South Korea. Topic for the session is Unmasking the Future of Commerce Under the Shadow of COVID-19.
Let
Okay,
us
thank you
begin
very
the
much.
session with a prayer. For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding.
Giving encouragement to others is a most welcome gift, for the results of it are lifted spirits, increased self worth, and a hopeful future. May I request Dr. Genova, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to welcome the gathering.
This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Psalm 118:24. Good morning, everyone. COVID 19 recession has seen the fastest, steepest downgrades in the consensus growth projection among all global recessions since 1990. The pandemic may leave a mark on the global economy that will last for years to come. This pandemic is one of the most significant disruptions that ever hit the global economy. It turned global trade on its head. It resulted in both supply shocks as governments, business, and individuals struggled to produce basic products and materials, and demand shocks as people stayed home and curtailed their usual consumption patterns, which had a ripple effect on the supply side again. Based on this background, the PG and Research Department of Commerce, Holy Cross College, has organized a two-day international conference on the topic, the impact of COVID pandemic in the universal territory sector, which is the need of the hour. I deem it a great privilege to welcome Dr. Corey Allen Ross, Senior Professor, Gyeongsang University, South Korea. Dr. Corey Allen Ross is specialized in the field of marketing, consumer behavior, and supply chain management. Sir completed his master's degree and doctoral degree in business administration from Pusan National University, South Korea. He has also completed his BS of Public Affairs from Indiana University. Sir has more than a decade of teaching experience and research experience too. He started his career as a part-time lecturer in Catholic University of Pusan, worked as a foreign professor at Catholic University of Pusan, and as assistant professor at Tongmyong University. At present, he is a visiting professor of Gyeongsang University, South Korea. He has more than 10 research publications in national and international journals, visited many countries for academic purpose. When lockdowns ease more widely and life begins to resemble a pre-pandemic normality, businesses will look for their demand and supply dynamics to normalize too. Will that be possible? Will your suppliers still be in the business? And if they are, will they have the same capacity as in the pre-pandemic times? Many suppliers downsized or closed manufacturing to remaining financial viable. Getting manufacturing capacity back to pre-pandemic levels will not happen overnight. While the world economy had largely stabilized several months after the initial pandemic of COVID 19, debate about whether people's lives should be put at risk to reopen economies and keep commerce forwarding continued. Dr. Corey Allen Ross is the right person to enlighten us on the topic unmasking the future of commerce under the shadow of COVID 19. Welcome you, sir. I welcome our secretary, principal, and head of the other departments, faculties of our college, the participants from other institutions. I also welcome each and every one for this thought-provoking session. Welcome, one and all. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Optimism is the one quality more association with success and happiness than any other. I invite Dr. Kore Alan Ross, Senior Professor, Youngsung University, South Korea, to commence the session.
Okay, thank you very much. I will attempt to share, just a second here, my presentation if I can. And if I cannot, I'll ask the assistant to share for me. So just give me a second here.
Yes, sir.
Please let me know if you can see the PPT. Are you able to see that?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay, then if there's any problem, please interrupt me and let me know. I will proceed with the presentation. Hello, everyone. My name is Corey Allen Ross. I am an American. I live in South Korea, and I'm working at Gyeongsung University in Busan, South Korea. I work in the Department of Global Studies, and they've given me a very good introduction, probably one of the best introductions I've ever had. Thank you so much. That was very kind and very wonderful to have that introduction there. I'm going to be talking about the future of commerce and discussing some of the statistics that were involved under the COVID-19 crisis throughout the entire world, and also what the future may hold. And some of these things may be very thought-provoking for you for future research ideas or areas where you may be interested in taking a closer look and trying to find out some of the things that would benefit future research in this field. So I'm going to do a short introduction about the COVID and how it's impacted all of us, and I'm going to highlight some different areas around the world a little bit. I'm going to talk about the initial impact and the responses of many small businesses and other institutions, how these companies have tried to survive during this lockdown, and the future and implications once we get out from under this pandemic. Okay. When the whole crisis started, I think everybody was pretty much in shock around the world. Here, when in South Korea, for example, when it first came here, the streets just emptied. People didn't know what to do. Businesses were left abandoned with no people there. They shuttered their stores. Buffets here that were very popular just closed and said that they will reopen when it's over. And now it's been over a year, and those places have long since given up the ghost and surrendered to bankruptcy or closing their doors permanently. People abandoned the streets, and they had as they've done many times in winter storms or dust storms or rainstorms and other crises, people went inside, locked their doors, and waited for the storm to pass. But it did not pass as quickly as we had hoped. Our society, our generations have never experienced anything like this before, and nor have businesses, managers, and especially small businesses who were never prepared for something at this magnitude. Around the world, testing centers have opened up and to try to contain it. In South Korea, we were very much hailed as one of the leading countries for trying to contain the virus. And we did a very good job compared to other countries around the world to let the people know about the spreading of the virus, which businesses were involved in the spreading of the virus, infections and things like that. So people knew if they were at that business at that time, they should go get tested and so on. And many of the healthcare people were in the front line trying to deal with this. And they still are. In fact, here in South Korea, where I'm at, they still have these testing centers, mobile testing centers up. And when you go there, you can see the same thing you see here in the picture. They will still meet you and test you. And you can have your test results in a matter of a day or two over here. And as you know, it's definitely changed our lives. Everywhere you go, you see people wearing masks, and the debate in some countries such as America, Brazil, and some of the other Western countries has raged on whether or not masks make a difference. Businesses have had to try to open their doors again or risk completely going bankrupt. So one of the ways they've tried to offset this is by making mandatory mask use within their businesses. And many people that take airlines or public transportation, trains, buses, or go to schools are required to wear masks. And this is something that the whole world has never really experienced before. And we are all in the same situation where no matter where you go, you see everybody. Oh, now you only see their eyes. And or maybe you don't even see those because, you know, the glasses get foggy if you breathing in the mask. So it's an unusual experience. In places like China and Korea, the virus was contained and pretty quickly, but in other locations around the world, it was not. And I would say part of the reason for that is we over here already had a mask culture. When people get sick over here, even before the pandemic started, we would wear masks to prevent spreading the virus around the flu or a cold. People wear masks just to stay warm sometimes. So there's nothing wrong with wearing a mask over here. And it was quickly adopted by everybody, and people had no problem doing it. However, in places like America, there was a strong debate over the safety of the mask, and people refuse to wear it or don't wear it well because they're just not accustomed to it. It's not their culture. So that has changed our society, and we wonder what the future holds for our society and mask use. And another thing that's changed quite a bit has been the delivery system. As we've been locked away, we need food and necessities and also some luxury items as well. So many businesses have had to step up and change to a more a home delivery system. Grocery stores have had to start to deliver to home, and you can see down below the Jimmy Brings wine and beer and spirits. They will drive the wine, beer, and spirits to your house in 30 minutes. So before, where you can't even get these items unless you go to the store and show your ID, now we have digital technology that can check your IDs digitally in many locations to be able to order certain things that you never would have thought of ordering online before. Even restaurants now that never delivered home delivery are now finding ways that they can start to do home delivery and making it at reasonable prices so that people can get their restaurant fixes at the luxury and safety of their homes. Okay. Next slide here. So the initial impact, and I'm looking at the slide here mostly, on retail of essential and non-essential items. In April of 2020 in the US, clothing sales dropped by 89.3%. And we can easily understand why that happened, because there's just people not going to the stores to try things on. Grocery stores sales, however, increased 13.3%, as we understood people rushing out to buy things that they need and trying to stock up, just as you would do for any crisis situation. You would try to endure for a few weeks, maybe a few days or a few weeks, so you would buy as much as you could. In the EU, sales of non-food products dropped 23.8%. Drinks, beverages, tobacco products increased 1.2%. As people are stuck inside, they still enjoy partaking of their beverages and their smoking and so on. In the US, Amazon, if you know, Amazon.com made every effort to try to ensure the stock of essential items such as hand sanitizer, paper towels, and also they tried to restock some of the non-essential things, but those were put very much on the back burner, and they were not included in some of the important things that they tried to provide. Amazon knew that it was being relied on, and their logistics was able to manage, for the most part, the huge increase in demand on their services. Whereas other companies were now struggling to try to get an online presence and home delivery, Amazon has been doing this for years. So they were really in a good position, and their sales have exploded. In fact, they reported in the US 186% increase in toilet paper sales. I'm American, and that still makes me laugh. People rushing out to buy toilet paper. I guess when there's winter storms and things in my home country, people often felt one of the worst things to do was run out of toilet paper. And when you're snowed in and you can't move your vehicle, you can't get to the store because the store's on the other side of the town or in the city, then you don't want to run out of toilet paper. So that's what people kind of thought of this. They didn't think that they could still go out. They treated it like a snowstorm. 862% increase in cold and cough medicine sales, over the counter, not the prescription kind. Why would they buy so much cold and cough medicine? Again, they were afraid to go out to the pharmacies and so on because they were scared of the sick people going to the pharmacies. They wanted to stay away from everybody. So Amazon was able to step in and provide that product for them. Unfortunately, small businesses were hit the hardest around the world, I think. Massive layoffs as they tried to survive as long as they could. They did not need their staff anymore. There was no customers coming in. And if the customers did come in, they would often just take the food out, so they wouldn't even need to have someone to bust the tables or to clean the dishes because those were there was no customers there. So as a result, they had to lay off many people. They couldn't afford to pay people to sit around and do nothing. And in fact, many small businesses did close in the initial weeks of the crisis. They could not survive more than a short period of time. Small businesses only had, on average, about 2 weeks of cash on hand to cover the expenses of their rent, their operating costs, their maintenance costs, and so on. So once the 2 weeks were up, they had to consider some hard choices to cut costs or to try to ration out their wages to their workers and so on, or just close their doors, as many have done. And even today, many of these businesses, they know that there is an end to this. They just don't know when. So they're just holding out. There's hanging on as long as they can, even though they're running in the red or they're running debt. And they're hoping for some government assistance or just some miracle where the end of this crisis will come. You can see here the little graphics down below. If you can see it, they're a little bit small. Sorry about that. But you can see how unemployment rate has skyrocketed in both the United States and in India. You can see unemployment rate in April of 2020 reached 23.52% in India. That's almost a fourth of the population looking for work is not able to find it. In America, it was even higher in 2020, in the March months of 2020. It was up to 30-some%. That's almost one third of the population that's looking for work does not have work. And that's the worst time to be out of work, when you need to survive a global pandemic and you need to buy essential items, and then you don't have any income and nowhere to work, and everyone is looking for work. It was a horrible crisis at that time. So during the lockdown, when everyone started to feel that they had to take measures to try to survive, because in the initial stages it was about self-preservation, but later it became about survival for companies, for businesses, and so on. So to try to mitigate the losses of their sales, brick and mortar stores have tried very hard to make an online presence and to enhance their online sales. Now, many companies have had a little bit of an online presence. They may have a website to advertise. They may have a few online orders, and they may have some small logistics companies that they use and so on. But after this crisis started to carry on longer and longer, that has had to expand. The logistics companies have had to pick up the slack, and many people in logistics were run ragged trying to cover all of the online orders. Brick and mortar stores have had really no choice except to try to make more sales online to try to stop the hemorrhaging of their money. Grocery stores, restaurants, they've all tried to enhance home delivery service or to try to provide a very safe environment for the people to come and take out their food. Some have opened windows and handed food out through the window. And even then, many people have been nervous about buying from restaurants. Are the restaurant workers wearing their masks? Are they washing their hands? What if the restaurant worker is sick and making all these people's food? This was a big problem in many countries, many concerns around the world. And as a result, some companies, even though they were very famous for delivery, they were unable to maintain that same level of of delivery throughout the early stages and middle stages of the pandemic, and only more lately have they been able to make a bounce back. So third-party logistics have risen to the occasion, and more they've tried to compensate for the massive rise and demand on the logistics infrastructure. Many orders online. I'm sure you know. I used to order something online. In South Korea, if I order something on the internet and the order will be filled and at my door before the pandemic within about 1 or 2 days, even if the product was on the other side of the country. That's partially because of the size of South Korea. It's very small. But also just because of the pride of the speed that they are happy to run very quickly and move very fast with their little scooters and buzz all the products all over the country very quickly. So it was pretty shocking when things started to delay up to a week. That's pretty amazing. And that shows how difficult it was. But now we are delayed by maybe a day or two. So whereas it took a day or two, now it takes 2 or 3. So even though the online orders have increased dramatically here in this country, and you can see down below, this is some of the South Korean advertisements that we have here to show. Even though it's increased dramatically, the logistics companies have stepped up, and we've had a lot more. They've had a lot more hires and have streamlined quite a bit and been more efficient, so they're able to meet the demand. And one of those companies is Yogiyo. Yogiyo is a company that was started as an app on the phone, and you open your phone up and you can now see all of these restaurants that are now delivering. Whereas before it was just a few and you had to call them. Now you can just order and there's deals, and it's a central location. Think of it like a hub where all the companies can advertise their menus and so on, and then you can pay through Yogiyo and they will deliver. It's all home delivery there. So there's also others that have stepped up, third-party logistics services. One here we call Quick Service. And what Quick Service does is it's just an agency that normal people like you and I could hire. We would call them and say, I need this, this, and this. I need a Starbucks coffee. I need a McDonald's hamburger. And I need some Tylenol for my headache. And they would go to these 3 locations and they would buy it for me. And then they would bring it to my door and leave it in front of my door. So I don't even have to go shopping. I could hire someone to go out and do the shopping for me. So online food delivery, of course, now people need to eat, and they also need to eat their bad foods as well. In South Korea, as I said, online food delivery increased 80% in 2020. It was already a lot before that, and now even higher, with 95% of the orders being from mobile devices. And that was Yonhap News in 2021 reported that. And that's pretty shocking. That shows how innovative and how well done the apps are. And I showed you the app there, Yogiyo, that is very famous here. China's online food delivery increased by 28% through 2020. One of the things to remember about China is they did get a pretty early handle on the Wuhan outbreak, and they were able to kind of overcome it long before everybody else. So they didn't quite need to hold out as long as many of the other countries have had to do. And India's Zomato here, Zomato, you say tomato, I say tomato. Like this, I'm not sure exactly the pronunciation here. All of you guys are saying, no, Americans, why do they say it that way? Sorry about that. Anyway, it's a leading online food delivery service. They reported 60% GMV during New Year's Eve. Now, they did have some trouble, again, with the fact that people were worried about the safety of delivered food from restaurants, preferring instead to cook at home for safety, where you can have more control over what you cook and what you eat. However, due to the efforts that they've made a little bit of a comeback here. In the U.S., holiday shopping, especially around Christmas time, holiday sales increased by 8.3% in November and December. Naturally, the holiday sales are going up in America, but one of the most interesting things is it increased more than is expected, higher than the expected 3.6% to 5.2% increase. That 8.3% is higher, and that's during the worst parts of this outbreak. They're actually selling more. 59% of consumers claim they bought more gifts online during the 2020 holiday season. and 45% said they bought most of their gifts online. So now we can see part of the reason the internet shopping and the stores have started to make their online presence known, and home delivery and so on. And as a result, people are more easily able to shop online. They can, rather than walking around the stores and going over, now they can just sit down and shop many, many different stores right on their computer or their phone or their tablet. Amazon.com web traffic increased 45% in November 2020 and 54% in December of 2020 compared to the previous year. So very big holiday shopping going on the internet in the US. Many companies that were unable to really establish themselves online have gone out of business. Some of the major corporations that struggled to make their presence known on the internet have gone under, and I posted here JCPenney, GNC, Pier 1 Imports, Tailored Brands, and some others as well. And there's many other companies, both large and small, and some more that are still very much close to the edge of bankruptcy. So one of the key factors here is they were unable to establish a very strong online presence, or they were too slow to react to the other competitors doing it. So now we're going to consider looking toward the future, and here is a graphic here. It says the percent of active online shoppers conducting at least one purchase online every 2 months, and it says since the outbreak of COVID is the dark green there, and in 2019. So we can see how many online shoppers are making at least one purchase from these categories, and we can see clearly the big winners here are pharmaceutical and the health industry, as people are stuck at home, and those people are at higher risk. They cannot go out, and if they get COVID, if they get sick, they could be at a big risk, so they prefer to shop online. So we can see that's one of the big winners there, up 9%. And another one is electronic goods. They're up big as well. Home furnishing, household products, and amazingly, education and conferences. We're here right now at conferences online. So hopefully you guys realize that it's very amazing to me that we can do these international conferences and things, and we can see people from all over the world very conveniently learn from each other, listen to each other, and hear all about the different, without having to travel, without having to go all over to see it. So education has changed a lot, and that's probably going to continue into the future as well. I cannot see that we will go back to the old way, although we will return to it to some large degree, because that's what we know and what we're familiar with. I think that what we've learned during this is going to continue on. Another thing is gardening tools and do-it-yourself projects have also increased as well. And those tools and things people use for being at home, they're stuck at home, so they want to garden, they want to fix things that they've been putting off for a long time, trying to stay busy, trying to stay entertained at their homes as well. And of course, some of the biggest losers are tourism, as we're going to see here. The growth of average spending per month. Now we have to remember that even though people are making more purchases online, that doesn't mean they're buying as much. And part of the reason is, of course, because they can't get out, or the delivery fees, or they're not able to figure out exactly how to get those products. And we can see there has been a drop across the board here of all those things that I just mentioned. And those should bounce back as soon as the pandemic is finished or is abated some. Household products and furniture are some of the big losers here, and electronic goods as well. And part of the reason for that is people usually, when they buy furniture and things, they're going to go out and look at it, shop for it, and so on. And it's hard to consider buying a furniture online and having it delivered to your door. Although I did that with my family here. We ended up buying a couch because my young daughter broke the other one. So we bought one online and took a chance, and it was actually pretty good. So I'm happy that we did that. And amazingly, tourism dropped. I wonder why that happened. We all know that tourism took a huge hit. Airline industries, hotels, tickets, travel, places where there is a lot of tourist attractions and tourist traps have closed. Here where I live, even close to my house, they closed off some of the major beaches and things during major events such as the New Year and some of the holidays and things. They closed it completely, even though it's a major tourist location, to prevent the chance of spreading of the virus. Online shopping also has changed forever. It's probably never going to go back to the way it was. It says today, more than half of the respondents surveyed in Brazil, China, Germany, Italy, South Korea, Russia, South Africa, Switzerland, and Turkey, more than half now shop online more frequently and rely on the internet more for news, health-related information, and digital entertainment, things like Netflix and YouTube. With so many people now being comfortable with shopping online, can we ever really think that it's going to go back to the way it was? No, it's not going to be the same it was. We're going to be moving forward with this online shopping for a long time to come. And the CEO of Invion here said, companies that put e-commerce at the heart of their business strategies are prepared for the post-COVID-19 era. So if you are thinking of making a company, if you don't think about e-commerce, you have to ask yourself what's going to happen, because a lot of people are going to continue shopping online for things that they are now comfortable buying online. In the past, the internet and online shopping was quickly accelerating, but it was still slow to adopt, especially among the older generation who didn't see a need for it. They didn't see any need or any reason to try to figure out this difficult way of shopping online. But now that has been accelerated forcefully and dramatically. So the elderly, whereas before they may never have shopped online, now they easily can. So we will now see that continuing into the future, where the elderly, they had to go outside and travel to their different locations. Now they can just get things and brought to their house without having to carry heavy things up a hill or have somebody help them to load it onto their vehicle or something. It can just be brought to their house. Inefficiencies in the past logistics were made very obvious during this crisis. Things that we saw as were not a problem before quickly were magnified. So companies have had to streamline, had to adapt quickly, and try to serve the massive change in demand. So what does this all mean? We're trying to tie this all together for the future here. What does it mean? For retail, in the grocery, there's going to be a permanent increase in digital orders and delivery channels, particularly for the elderly. And if you're interested in doing some kind of research, that's a good research question. How has this impacted the elderly? How tech savvy are the elderly, especially in the different areas, in the rural areas? Has it made a difference? Are they still depending on their current, their supply channels that they've used in the past? Because rural areas are much less at risk than urban areas. So it might be interesting to study the difference between the rural elderly and the urban elderly, and how tech savvy they've become, how much they depend on online orders and things, especially post-pandemic. The next one is the apparel and specialty. There's going to be an increase in omni-channel experience, omni-channel being both offline and online at the same time of the purchase. So they go into the store, they're going to buy something, but they're also going to use the internet as they're shopping. Large increase in reverse logistics demand, especially because you can't try on clothes. So when they ship the clothes to the house, you try it on, it doesn't look like it did in the model or something, and they're going to send it back. And then there's going to be reverse logistics, and reverse logistics puts a huge strain on the supply chain. Big box retail, they benefited greatly from one-stop shopper increases, big box being the big stores in where I come from, such as a Walmart and so on. Those places very much benefited because people could go to those places, buy everything they need, and get out. They don't need to go shopping around. They just go to the aisle, buy what they need, and get out. So they're going to need to continue to enhance their online presence, but they have definitely done well during COVID compared to many of the other specialty shops. So here's a snapshot of the sector trends from 2012 to 2024. and this is from the U.S. Census Bureau. And you can see e-commerce has had a jump in 2020, and that's a very much was on that track already, but it has definitely been a shot in the arm. It's going to be an adrenaline boost for them, and that's going to take a lot more of the orders now than in the past. So if you're thinking of doing research, watching this trend is going to be very much different from 1 or 2 years ago when we expected what we expected 1 or 2 years ago. Things have changed dramatically since then, and much more rapidly. For the food and restaurant industry, there's an increase in sales of ready-to-eat meals as people are home all the time and realize they have to cook all the time. Some families who work or are at home taking care of children realize that ready-to-eat meals that they can get from the store, they can still be shipped to the house now. So it's very easy just to get that, and it's cooked very quickly. Minimal preparation style meals are definitely increasing as people suffer from fatigue of daddy or mama being home for 3 meals, whereas before, maybe dad would walk out in the morning and come back at night, or mom would go to her company and come back in the evening and would eat 1 or 2 meals lunch. At least lunch she would eat outside at the company and then come home. So now they have to prepare 3 meals, sometimes more, depending on the kids and their time schedules and so on. Where the kids were in school eating lunch, now they're at home. So people who are cooking, moms and dads who are taking care of the kids, are fatigued, and many of them have to work from home too. So there's an increase in number and expected quality of home delivery orders. People have ordered more, and they're expecting better quality food to arrive in better packaging as well. An increase in takeout orders, for example, Starbucks Siren order, where people don't want to stand in line, so they learned how to order and walk in and pick up their order rather than waiting in line. You can order on the Starbucks Siren app, walk in and pick it up. There's also an increase in outdoor dining and takeout windows. You can see in the graphic down there in the bottom right part over there, where people can go up to a window and just order their food or order their drink and just walk away with it, or even sit outside. So there's a greater appreciation for outdoor dining. In the movie industry has had a major impact as well. These big theaters have had massive crises during this pandemic. So a lot of people have switched over to online distribution platforms such as Netflix, Disney Plus, and others. There's more movie premieres now on TV or on online platforms. People are avoiding the big screens much more than before. So one question to ask is, are we seeing the end of big screens? Maybe not completely. But will they be lucrative in the future? Will they be able to make enough money to keep their doors open? Whereas before the pandemic, many around the world were already starting to struggle in their competition with Netflix and so on. Now it's gotten much, much worse as people have fled from the movie theaters. Disney Plus, here's the graphic down in the bottom right corner. Disney Plus passed 90 million subscribers 3 years ahead of their schedule. And you can see their planned releases from the November 2019 all the way through January 2021 as they are releasing their platform in other places. They've had a huge jump, much faster than they ever anticipated. And that's, of course, because people are looking for other ways of getting entertainment. Unfortunately, I don't have Disney Plus here in Korea, but it's coming. They say it's coming. We are waiting. The video game industry has also seen a major jump as people are stuck at home with nothing to do but their devices. Online distribution platforms have accelerated this hobby. Steam, Epic Games, GOG.com have all been offering deals and sales, and people have been jumping on. They've found ways to connect users to each other through voice chat, video chat, and so on. And there's many new users that are being introduced. YouTube has offered gaming channels that have exploded in popularity. Twitch is another one that's offered a lot of explosion in gaming because people are stuck at home. Kids especially are now using the computer more often than they were before because they have online classes. So what do they do when their class is done? Just switch over to a game or something like that. So there's a lot of new users, and the gaming industry has seen an explosion here. And you can see the gaming audiences have grown since March 2020 in the US Mobile gaming is up 28%, UK 50%, South Korea 34%, Germany 25% up in the mobile market there. For customer service, we've had an increase in contactless engagements, whereas before we may have gone in and talked to someone. Now we have to contact them through chat online. There's a need for personalization of customer service via online formats. They need more personalized service as we don't have that anymore. There's potential now for AI chatbots to enhance customer service encounters. I had a problem with an Amazon order. I contacted them to try to solve it, and I talked to a chatbot for probably about 3 minutes, and it was pretty effective, asking me questions, and I would answer, and it asked me to explain the problem, and it put me in contact with someone, and they understood what was going on. So it was very effective. The AI chat bots are doing very well for the basic initial interaction. There's an increase in automated checkout services as well. As people want to avoid each other, they are spaced out, as well as speed and efficiency, and avoiding the person, someone else touching their products or goods. These automated checkout services are very popular. Where I live, there's just been an explosion of these. As you go in, the food industry is staying away from the customers because they know that sometimes it's a risk. So the food preparation people are staying away from the customers. And you walk in, you order on these screens now, even at places like McDonald's and Burger King. They're doing that. And then they will bring your food and they'll call out your order and they'll leave it at the counter and you come and pick it up. In the tourism industry, they've had a huge hit, and it's after this is all finished, there's likely to be a boom in domestic travel as restrictions ease because people are more comfortable traveling around their immediate area rather than to other countries. Tourism agencies, travel services, transportation services, they may take years to recover and restore their services because many of them have gone out of business, and the tourism is going to slowly bounce back. Although there is a potential for people who have been holding off waiting to travel to eagerly jump back into it. It'd probably be a while before the general population starts to feel comfortable enough to start traveling at the same levels they were before. So the tourism industry is going to have to work hard to restore traveler confidence. In the future, there are some employment opportunities as well that we should consider. You can see across the United States, Spain, United Kingdom, France, Germany, Japan, China, India as well. And the increase or potential decrease of the employment opportunities there. As people are now out of work, they're looking for new jobs. And we can see the big winners here across the board are going to be the healthcare workers. We have learned very quickly that there is a dramatic need for healthcare workers and healthcare facilities. And that's not changing. That's not going to change in the future as many countries are aging. Their demographics are, that people are getting older. The populations are getting older. They're going to need more health care. So that is a very good industry for people to get into. Health professionals as well. Managers, of course, are going to still be in demand, and business professionals and so on. The biggest losers down below, you can see their office support. Don't need to have people come into the offices as much anymore as we can now get help online. Production and warehousing, as we have switched over more and more to automation, and same with agriculture, switching to automation and larger farms. Food services has learned to cut down on interaction with the customers. Customers have learned to use the automated services, home delivery, which requires the logistics, but not so many of the waiters and waitresses and dishwashers and things like that. And customer service and sales has definitely dropped in some of the Western countries, particularly because now the internet, the people from around the world can now help the companies that are globalized to take care of their customer service at more reasonable costs and wages. Okay, and that is the end of my presentation. Thank you all for listening, and I hope that I gave you guys a few research ideas for your future research studies and so on. Thank you very much for inviting me. And if you'd like to contact me, my name is Corey Allen Ross, and you can probably get a hold of me very easily by checking for Gyeongsang University webpage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting the insights on the improvements and growth in the various sectors of commerce under the shadow of COVID-19. Gratitude is a powerful catalyst for happiness. It is a spark that lights fire of joy in your soul. May I request Ms. Shirley, Assistant Professor, panel of Commerce to propose the vote of thanks.
Lord, without I will of wonderful deed. Psalm 9. On behalf of the management and principal of Holy Cross College and the staff and students of the Department of Commerce of our college, I express my sincere gratitude to our chairperson, Dr. Corey Allen Ross, Senior Professor, Kyongsang University, South Korea. Sir, your thoughts about the future of commerce under the shadow of COVID-19 were so enlightening. We sure gained a lot of information about the COVID situation around the world. Sir, you gave us valuable information relating to the impact of the pandemic on various commodities and businesses. Sure, we all are moving towards a continuous transition towards online mode in almost every aspect of our life nowadays. Once again, I thank you, sir, for your esteemed presence and thought-provoking analysis and ideas. I express my profound thanks to our secretary, Reverend Sister Niranjana Andonisamy, to our principal and head of the department, Reverend Sister Dr. Christina Bridget, all the Sisters of the Cross, faculty and students of Holy Cross College for making this session a successful one. Above all, I thank Almighty God for guiding us and for making every event possible. Gratitude is the fairest blossom which springs from the soul. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We shall now have from the 3 to 1. Thank you, sir.
We thank you, dear sir, for enlightening us with the words of wisdom and sparing us time from your very busy schedule. Participants, kindly note, we shall now have the lunch break from 12:30 to 1:30.
Thank you for having me, and I want to wish everybody a wonderful day, and please be safe. Thank you for the opportunity. God bless.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Corey. Yes.
You may now leave for the lunch